covered for third, but one corner later, number 41 Tim Dunn went around, and multiple champ Jeff Miller spun to avoid him, but was promptly collected by number 42 James Steinhelfer. Still later in the lap, Ben Beasley running in second, outpowered leader number 20 Mike Bergers, going side by side through the corner. On the final lap, Tim Dunn went off course again while running second, but up front, Ben Beasley put a 1-minute 51-second drubbing on the field. He saluted his crew as he took the checkers, earning the Beasley family's 4th straight national championship. The name Beasley and Runoffs Gold are synonymous. It started with Father Al Sr., son Al Jr.'s had success as well. But the man of the moment is Ben Beasley. He's won 3 of the last 4 national championships, and the year he didn't, well, he loaned his car to brother Al, and Al took the gold medal. Ben's going for the family's 5th straight, but he's got to go up against Jim Steinhelfer. Jim has won the Rocky Mountain Division already this year. In last year's race, he had it coming together early on, got it back together, went out, fought his way to 4th in the adverse conditions, just missing a step on the podium. There are other contenders as well, and David Hobbs is standing by with, a matter of fact, a gentleman who was all over Jim in last year's race.
Well, his close associate in that altercation was Jeff Miller, who DNF'd last year here at the Runoffs. But Jeff really can't complain with 6 national championships to his credit and at least 10 poles. We think 10 poles. He says he thinks it's more like 20, but of course he's a driver, so what can you say? Next to him, Jack Lucilli. Jack Lucilli's had a bit of a troublesome year with his car this year, but he's also had a 1st, a 2nd, and a 3rd, which gets him to his 1st ever national championship runoffs. And Richard Leslie. Richard Leslie is the current Northeastern national champion with 4 wins this year, so he is going to be a very strong contender this afternoon.
The Runoffs are very much about variety, and no class captures that spirit perhaps better than C Sports Racing. Creativity and invention are the hallmarks of this class, but it ends up making outright pure speed. And it's now time to find out who's the most creative, both in the garage and on the track, as we go after a C Sports Racing National Championship at SCCA's Valvoline Runoffs, the 39th edition of this National Championship chase. And for the 9th consecutive year, it is being held at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. David, take us on a tour.
Well, the Mid-Ohio course at 2.4 miles is one of the most fun courses in the United States. 15 turns, as you can see, a lot of straightaway. From the finish right up to that chicane in the top left corner is almost flat out. Turn 1's almost flat out here. The keyhole in the top left is very important down that long back straight, and then starts the S's. Very difficult to overtake here.
Very difficult. Let's head down to pit lane for the first of our 2 pit reporters, Brian Till.
Well, Greg, you said it. Creativity and invention, and that's what this class has always been built around. Jacek Muka starting in a very late model Atlantic chassis with fenders that have been put on it. But Richard Leslie, this may be the thing to come. It's a purpose-built C Sports Racer chassis. It may not be invention anymore. It may just be all by design in C Sports Racing if these guys have their say at it in this new radical chassis. Let's check in with John Bizignano.
Well, thanks, Brian. You've seen the car number 26 for years. David Brent Dieberg has been running this car as a Formula car in Formula Atlantic. You say, this doesn't look like any Formula car I've ever seen. Well, underneath all this bodywork, there is a 1988 Ralt RT4. The car was no longer competitive as a Formula car. He has changed it to a sports racer. Let's see how that Formula car chassis does with some fenders on it.
Well, that's exactly what we're talking about, creativity. And if you find something isn't working, you'll find a way to make it creative. But Brian Till is right. Radical and a couple other chassis makers are starting to design cars specifically for this class. Drop an engine in and go fast. Things may be evolving here in CSR. Valvoline Runoffs is brought to you by Valvoline. You can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. Welcome back, everybody. The field is underway. We want to take you right to the Valvoline starting grid, introduce you to the combatants here today. And we're going to take a look at it. Ben Beasley won from pole last year, and he started off well. He has put his number 1 championship-winning car back on the pole here. There's Jacek Muka and Jeff Miller, Richard Leslie, Russilli, Vandenberg, Steinhelfer, Metzger, Charlie Coleman, and Skip Reaver. Now, this is a field that's a little short at this point in terms of number, but there's some awfully quick drivers and some great creativity in this class. And David Hobbs, we talk about sports racers. There's a couple different classes. Tell us about C Sports Racing.
Well, C Sports Racing is right in the middle of the pack there. You see purpose-built road racing cars, as we've already seen from our pit reports. These cars, some of them are home-built, some are built off Formula Atlantic chassis, which obviously is a full racing car. Obviously got fenders around them, open-top car, and these really are just like a Formula car with bodywork on. A lot of different engines there. Some very interesting engine conversation in there.
And they run very, very quickly. I mean, the pole time here, a 1:24.048 by Beasley, and it broke the track record he set here in 1999. We'll be riding on board with Jeff Miller, qualified third. Miller, one of those drivers with a tremendous history here at the Runoffs. He has 6 gold medals, the first one coming in 1976. So Jeff Miller has been a frequent competitor at the Runoffs for a long time.
He certainly has. He, of course, runs with a 6-cylinder Kohler engine. Kohler out of Kohler, Wisconsin.
It's very interesting. He runs with that. A number of the drivers run with 1,000cc motorcycle engines. There's in a couple of cars in the Ralt. You've got Mazda's. Beasley's car runs a rotary as well. It's a great mix. But that car right there with the big R on the side, the Radical, some people think that might well be where this is going at this stage, because of the fact that they could build the chassis and have found a way to do it relatively cheaply at that. Let's check in once again with our pit reporters for some last-minute thoughts. Brian?
Well, you know, we talked about creativity, and Greg, you know, part of the problem with creativity, it's like stepping into the laboratory and mixing a bunch of chemicals. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it blows up in your face, and one of the problems with these cars sometimes is they are so stressed, they're trying to take things to the limit so far to make them work in this class that they blow up in your face, quite literally. So dependability is always an issue in C Sports Racer. We'll have to take a look at it and make sure these cars make it to the end. John Bizignano?
Well, Brian, we've talked about the short field in this class, but it takes a lot of engineering know-how to keep one of these cars on the track and actually to build one. There are several manufacturers out in the wings that hope to bring this type of car to more of a production race car schedule where people can go out and buy the cars and run them rather than have to sit in their garage all winter long and tweak something into what's called a C Sports Racer. Next year, there should be some more cars.
Well, that's a very good point. That's one of the reasons that the Beasleys, who used to run those super high-stressed 2-cycle engines, and they started to experience the problems with reliability, they went to the Mazdas in their cars. You see Muka there running. That's essentially an Atlantic car with an Atlantic engine. Miller's still running the old-school approach with that highly stressed 2-cycle engine, but a lot of the other drivers using much more proven, reliable equipment, and it's made the racing pretty interesting. Very close in the front 2 cars here, but behind that, it's a little rough. We may be having a problem with our onboard camera. We let you know about that. Here we go in the green, and Miller times it beautifully, and that car has a lot of power when it's working, and he comes down the inside, but he's so far to the inside, David, he has to overslow to make the corner.
Yeah, unfortunately, whoa, looked a bit twitchy there going up the hill into 7 for the first time. Lost a little bit of time there on the 2 leaders, Beasley and Muka, but Jeff Miller made a brilliant start. I thought he was going to outbrake them both into turn 1, but was not to be.
And Vandenberg gets around Jack Russilli and picks up a spot. That blue car right there, the Ralt chassis, the Atlantic chassis that he's reconfigured into one of these CSRs, and he's done it. He's gone in and reconfigured and re-engineered the entire car, as opposed to Jacek Muka, who just drapes some carbon fiber body panels over the side pods of his Atlantic car and calls it a CSR. And these two guys right here, they were within 1/10 of each other and qualified both underneath Beasley's track record from last year. These two cars, especially when the tires come up to temperature, are just blind fast.
Turn 1 there, the fastest corner here. You need a bit of aerodynamic downforce. As you can see, Beasley's gone for the high wing, Muka going for the very low wing on the back of that Formula Atlantic chassis into the chicane for the first time. Very fast. Now, this is the key corner of this Holter racetrack, the keyhole. Just right there, there's a nasty dip. The road falls away, and that's where you want your most mechanical grip, because you want to launch yourself down the straight. And Muka's got right under the tail of Beasley. He's getting a tremendous draft.
Boy, he hooked up coming out of that turn.
Very well coming out, but he didn't. And here he goes. He was going to go on the outside. Now he's going to go on the inside, but Beasley hangs right in there.
Tell you, that Mazda engine in Beasley's car generates some really stout power once it gets up into the power band a little bit. And Muka, you can see him, he was in the draft, and then Beasley started to pull him. But Muka's car really comes alive on the twisty bits here. One, it is, oh!
That's Beasley. I mean, that's, yes, that's Beasley.
That's Russilli, actually. And then the Radical is Leslie. I mean, they both had a big hit. Got the corner workers' attention. They went in suddenly and very quickly. Leslie looks like he might be a little stunned there. Now he's starting to try. Maybe he's chatting on the radio to the crew. And there's Rusilli, who went in nose first. And a lot of that fluid, folks, by the way, not necessarily coming out of any engine. That could very well be just gathered up in those tires.
Those tires from the rain we had in the last couple of days. So Rusilli and Richard Leslie. Richard Leslie, we saw at the top of the show, a winner this year. Here we see it's coming into turn 6. Oh boy, and what was Richard Leslie thinking of there? He got around him and then just absolutely nailed him going up the hill to 7, closed the door right on him, forcing the car Rusilli onto the grass, and Rusilli came back up, and wow, that was
a solid hit. They got in there pretty good, and we have a full course caution has just come out of. The question now becomes, did Muka get that pass completed before the caution came out in that section of track? I think we may find that Beasley's back in front here by direction.
I think so. That was not very smart driving there by young Richard Leslie, I have to say. I don't know what he quite thought he was going to do there.
All I can imagine is that maybe he thought he was clear.
But he was clear, but he wasn't really clear, but he just absolutely forced Rusilli right onto the grass.
Yeah, Rusilli was well alongside at that point. You have to allow a little racing room, or what happens will happen. And that was indeed the case. So we'll come back, and Muka in the lead, but Beasley might be there when we return.
Kind of like the roar of Charlie Kuhlman's Dragon on his C Sports Racer. Charlie's known as the father of sound control, Dr. Decibel. Charlie, how did you come by these nicknames?
Well, back in 1960, Laguna Seca was deeded by the Fort Ord people to the county. The county people said sound control. And I was there for that first race, and it was somewhat chaotic. And I figured all we need is a good engineer to take over. Little did I know.
Well, he's known as Dr. Decibel because when he goes to see those cars that are too loud, they know him by Dr. Decibel, not by his name, Charlie Kuhlman. Can you imagine how loud these things would be without these mufflers? You know, they say don't equate noise with speed.
Well, and in particular these days with the popularity of the Mazda engines, boy, they put out so much noise without a serious muffler on it. There's Charlie Kuhlman, and he calls the car the Puff Dragon, as you can see. And right now, Charlie running in the 8th spot at this stage, and he's been racing these cars for a long, long time. And he's one of the people that has been a true supporter of this class. And he may not quite be on pace with some of the other guys in the Young Lions, but Charlie Kuhlman has the heart of the line and has been around in a real factor in C Sports racing for a long time.
Jack Rusilli not going to be a happy camper. We're about to see a replay now of the crash. We'll see what happened going down the straight. There's Richard Beasley goes on the inside there. And then Absi just moves right over, just pushes him right onto the grass. Meanwhile, Rusilli continues at unabated speed and rejoins the track right into the side of Beasley. So that is a case of the biter getting bit, mate.
Now, here's what we talked about, the pass under yellow, and there's a yellow light that goes on right at the end of this straight. And Muka, this isn't a problem. I mean, he wasn't trying to do something unfair. He just had a run, moved over, and there you see the yellow came up, and he was not by. At the point of that yellow, when that came up, he was not clear. Then you see the yellow light, but it's more not when that light was on, but when it came on and that yellow flag came out. And when that yellow flag was up, when he went by it, he was not by.
Now,
so I would suspect they'll have Beasley move around. Well, for more on this, maybe we get some clarification. Let's check in with Biz.
Well, car number 26, David Vandenberg, the man we interviewed on the grid who was hoping to put that RT4 forward. This was down into the intake. The intake was totally restricted. He was in the pits for quite a time, but the yellow flag's out there. I don't know if he lost a lap or not, guys. There's a lot of noise down here. You tell me.
I don't think he did. I think he certainly lost some time, but of course, fortunate for him, he had the yellow then. David to be able to get in, get that taken care of. He'll lose a few spots, but with the speed he was running, he was 4th when that happened. He ought to be able to get right back up into the fray here.
Richard Beasley, that is a beautifully turned out car, that car of Beasley. There's no doubt about it. It's a beautiful car. Very well done. Look, they're not going to, I mean Leslie, I keep calling Beasley's Leslie's, but they've left. I'm amazed. They've left Muka in the lead. I just don't understand that. It was quite clear the yellow was out.
I don't think there's any question. Oh, and Vandenberg off as he was trying to catch to the back of the pack. Wipes his visor, and I think probably in frustration, just like, what was I thinking? And he's slowing. Has he lost a tire? No, that's there. I don't know exactly what happened. But as we come up here for this restart, Let's go back and take a look at that one more time, because this is a bit of an issue here, I would think. And as I said, it's very clear. The rule says you can start a pass. You have to complete the pass before the yellow comes out. Now here he goes, David, and watch when that yellow displays right in the bottom of the screen.
The bottom of the screen, you can see the yellow flag waving quite clearly, which it obviously didn't just come up here. I mean, it was already up when he went by. He's not even by yet.
He's not by.
There's the flag, and he's clearly passed under the yellow.
So, and I'm sure it wasn't an intentional thing. He started the run, and you're focused, and he may not have caught it, but the yellow was out. But that flag is the telltale, and we're back to green, and Beasley trying to rectify it on his own since he didn't get any help from the officials, and Muka having none of it. This gives Jeff Miller another opportunity here. But the problem, you talked about it earlier, the wide track. You look at how wide the lead car is, you look at how wide Beasley's car is, and then look how narrow Miller's is. That's a chassis he's been running for a long time, and it too just cannot run with these guys.
No, and Jacek Muka there at the beginning there, it was quite clear that he was trying to get around Beasley, and if he had got around him, I suspect he's going to drive off.
Beasley did get pole, setting the track record, breaking the one he set 99, as I said, but Muka was within a tenth. I mean, he's that close. And you can see how much they've already opened the margin up over Miller, and it's just so tough for Miller right now. Miller's time in qualifying was about 3 seconds off of these guys, and I think that's just, Miller's a good driver, there's no question of that. It's just technology has stepped far enough forward now that Jeff Miller's got to be scratching his head wondering what he's going to do if he wants to keep playing in CSR.
Well, Jeff Miller, of course, got 6 gold medals here at the Runoffs. The last one was in 1996 in this division, and he first won a gold medal in this division back in 1978. Another previous winner of this division was Jim Truman back in 1975.
Of course, was the owner of this beautiful track here at Mid-Ohio, and it's still his family that continues to run it, and it is truly one of the elite road courses in North America. Just a phenomenal facility. The track itself is a driver, and as you can see in the background, a fan favorite, as are the Runoffs. It's the SCCA National Championships, the 39th edition. It's the Valvoline Runoffs right here at Mid-Ohio. Glad to be bringing it to you here on Speed. C Sports Racing is the class under contest right now. And David Hobbs, not a lot of cars in this field, but the top two very, very close. And this has become a mono battle at this stage right now. But we're still wondering a little bit about the situation before the restart. Brian Till, any news?
Well, I talked to the officials down here in pit lane, and all they would say is, we are aware of it. It's being looked at. And I said, so that's as specifically general as we can be. And they said, that's right, we are aware of it. It's being looked at. But John Bizignano, I think you're standing by with somebody who wants a little more than having it just looked at.
Well, they're looking at it very closely down here in the Beasley pit, that's for sure. And the word is, to them, it was 100% a pass under the yellow. The cars came underneath the start-finish line where there was a yellow flag out, and there was a very visible yellow flag going into turn 1, and that's when the 0-1 car went by. As far as they're concerned, the race is over. They've already told the SCCA that there will be a protest, but we may get a penalty on the 0-1 car before all the lawyers take over. But right now, Beasley thinks he's won the race sitting in second.
I must say, I can't find it. It just doesn't seem to be that difficult to me. I mean, looking at what? I mean, it's pretty clear from our TV pictures what happened, and they can see that the same as we can, and they can see it real time as we can. They could have done it right there under the caution, under that lap.
And here's another look at it right here, and it really comes up. There's a white line they'll go by right here, and he's not by there, and that's where that flag is. It's very clear. But David, this race, the Runoffs, is run to SCCA club regulations, not pro regulations, and very few SCCA club events have TV, so they have very specific rules because there is no video that they can go back to, that a lot of it has to be handled via protests and penalties as opposed to black flags.
Every corner has a whole,
worker,
exactly.
Well, that's true. If a corner worker is calling in and saying this was done and there's a yellow, you can always make it good. You can always opt for that because the rule book called the CSR allows the officials to be able to make that kind of change. The GCR, it's called, the General Competition Rules. Here's Skip Reamer right now running in the 6th spot. Skip really had some problems in qualifying. Couldn't even get on track for the first 2 qualifying sessions. And then when he came out for the other one, he wasn't really on on pace. And this is what we're seeing here. Reber right in front of Charlie Coleman. And these guys right now are well off the pace, running very slowly right now.
Very slowly off the pace.
But they're battling at this pace.
But you can see that they're a much narrower car than our two lead cars. These guys are going with the old narrower track cars, a much narrower car, which just doesn't have the stance to give it good grip through some of these corners, especially like that turn 1 there, which is a very fast corner. Very high wing on the Charlie Coleman car, as you can see, well up over his head there, well up in the airstream. There's no doubt about it. He's got plenty of downforce on the rear.
Well, I think the problem might be is they've got more downforce right now than they got power. They both have been struggling all event long trying to get power, but they didn't want to miss this race, and they're having a good race. It's just that about maybe what, 2/3 the speed maybe at the front of the pack. Coleman obviously has a little bit more grunt, the engine department at this stage. And Reber, it's just been an exercise in frustration ever since he got here. Right now there's Jacek Muka opening it up, and I think there's an exercise in frustration going on in the Beasley pit right now as well.
Figure out how to race essentially the same car in two different classes. That's his Formula Atlantic car. And if you look at his C Sports Racer, it has the same chassis, but he's added the bodywork to make it a C Sports Racer. Two different cars, but it's got to be two different driving styles.
Well, no, the cars are quite similar in handling. We really don't know which one make more horsepower and more downforce, but they are pretty similar in handling. We are going about the same time in both of them.
And which one do you enjoy the most?
Well, so far we're quicker in a C-Sport Racer.
Down from Canada, looking for 2 championships in almost the same car.
Well, you normally like more the car you're quicker in, and he seems to have an affinity for the C Sports Racer. We talk about the different things in this class, the engineering, the level of competition. Budgets also play a role, and he obviously has a little bit of budget to be able to play at the very top end of this game. Beasley very close. David, before we get on to that, I want to get back down to Brian Till, because Brian, we're still kind of mulling over this rules scenario. Do you have any further information on it?
Well, yeah, you know, Greg, you were talking about not making a decision now until they were sure of all the facts. In club racing, a little different than pro racing. And I talked to the officials, and that's exactly what they said. They said, you know, we don't want to have to try to undo something that we did on the racetrack. So we're looking at it, and typically in club racing, we like to take care of the matter after the race. And that's all well and good. But my question is kind of like what David was saying. You still got a race to run. If these two guys get together racing for a position that shouldn't be, you know, you can affect the outcome of the race by not doing anything. So I can understand them wanting to make sure of it and not affect the race. But by doing that, they may indeed affect the race.
Well, they've all got, I mean, it's a pathetic excuse. They've all got radios. They can talk to the corner marshals. They know exactly what happened, and they know exactly what happened at the time it happened. To have some sort of a protest after Muka has got, say, the gold medal, and then they say, oh, sorry, Jack, we've looked at the tapes and we've mulled it all over. Now we decided you haven't won it. I mean, that's much worse than saying to him, drop back behind Beasley now and then race it for the lead.
Well, and I think there's one other thing to just touch on very quickly here as well. I talk about that a lot of these races don't have TV, they don't have video, they don't have that. But a lot of their races don't have a huge crowd that's paid a lot of money to see racing. And what they're depriving them of right now is restarting the race in the correct order and letting these guys race. And they've taken that away. And I think it's unfortunate. And obviously I'm connected to the corner workers as I do a lot of that. And you're right, we're on the radio, and I'll guarantee you there's corner workers back there that have been talking about the fact that that was the scenario and have given them a number of witness statements. Let's check back in again with Brian Till.
Well, Al Beasley, obviously you guys aren't happy with what's going on here. You won this class in 2000. Your brother's won it 3 times. You think he's leading it today, but you'd like to see him move Jacek out of the way, obviously.
Yes, it was a blatant pass under full course yellow, and Ben should be out in front right now. I'd like to see him bring him in for the stop and go the way they should, but it's up to the SCCA stewards. They know about it, and it doesn't. We'd like to win it out on the track, not in the impound area, but he's got it won no matter what.
Well, as sure as you are that he passed under the yellow, do you tell him to go for the lead anyway? Because if they don't change it, it's to whoever comes across the line first.
He's going to go. He's going to go for it, but he's going to do whatever he wants. If he can, he will, I'm sure.
Well, the Beasley family knows all about winning in the sports racing class. Like I said, Ben's won it 3 times. Al's won it once. They're going to keep going for it, guys, but they're smart racers.
Well, Ryan, you heard David Hobbs on the last 3 laps. Beasley has been crossed up in a couple of different spots in pursuit. He just came through that carousel absolutely sideways, trying to prove the point that he deserves this one, and as opposed to getting it handed to him. And he is in full pursuit mode right now, and obviously driving with a little bit of steam building up under the collar here as he's getting it crossed up. And the fact of the matter is, they didn't even have to do a stop and go. Let's take a look at this right here. Look, watch Al.
In the carousel here.
Ben, yeah.
Ben Beasley gets here and it just comes to the apex of the corner. Look at this, just a beautiful drift. He holds it just right, no overcorrection, snaps back in line. So easy to overdo it on the correction there. He did a great job there of handling that, but he's losing time, and of course his tires are heating up.
Great job as well, and Brother Al said they should give him the stop and go, but I got to get back to the point. The pass happened before a yellow. A simple wave him back to the front. This is all averted, and it's unfortunate. We'll be back. Ben Beasley, he doesn't want this one to be settled after the race with a protest. He wants to win it outright and prove a point, I think. And now he's coming up on some traffic, and John Bizignano, Jacek Muka's been throwing down some great laps, but now he's got traffic in front along with Beasley behind.
Well, Jacek can handle that. Of course, he's a terrific racer. I think Beasley wants it to stay this way just so he can have some fun out there. Well, there's 2 sides of every story. Muka, we talked to the crew. They are our guests from French Canada, and I wish David Hobbs or John Putty were down here to get the real meaning of everything. A lot of head shaking going back and forth. But they say they love the pass, and they didn't see any yellow flags. So I think everyone's going to be in the TV truck after this one, guys. My question is, someone's going to get a gold medal here, and that should be awarded to someone who really deserves it.
And it should be awarded to someone who's going to keep it. And over the top of the madness there, Beasley's car still showing a lot of signs of tail happiness. You see the trouble, every time he does that, he puts more and more heat into those rear tires.
Oh, but he's thinking. He almost thought about a move.
He almost thought about it. He definitely thought about it.
Almost made it.
Almost made it, yeah. He's thinking about it all the time.
Boy, Beasley is just absolutely flogging this car right now. Oh, more traffic coming up.
In front of the carousel.
Watch this here again.
Here we see them coming up to madness. This is turn 6 and 7. Tries to get on the inside, but Jacek Muka is leaving no room on the inside. And as they come over the top, look at that beautiful slide. I tell you what, he's driving his car like a dirt track car, hanging onto it beautifully there.
Got to be awful concerned, though, about just rooting those rear tires when you keep that up for too long.
Got me a bit concerned. He's got 6 laps.
Jeff Miller's done.
Jeff Miller for the 2nd year in a row is out of this race. Last year he was DNF.
Well, let's head down to Brian Till.
Well, Jeff Miller certainly knows how to win this thing. He won it in '96, but Jeff, awfully quiet as it rolls in here. Sounds like something's not working in the back.
Well, we've got a little bit of an engine problem. There's something vibrating pretty bad, so we just had to shut it down. I don't know what's wrong with it. There must be something broken.
Well, that's a smart guy. He says there's something vibrating in the back in the engine compartment, so they just shut it down. You know, he's won this thing before, but he's got a good feel for the car. There's no reason to run this thing if it's going to grenade out on the racetrack and make a mess for everybody else. So, smart professional guy. He pulls it in here and parks it for the day.
And a lot of money for him, too, if the thing blows up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's a sportsman as well as a great racer, and his battle up at the front continues. And one of the guys looking under that engine cover was Jeff's son, Jason, a D-Sports racer with great success as well. We are back, and it is working very well right now for Jacek Muka up front, but Ben Beasley continues to hound him, and in certain spots here, there is no doubt Beasley, it looks like, is the quicker car, but in other spots, I'll tell you what, Muka is able to draw away, but right here, Beasley makes up a lot of ground into the keyhole and then in the S's.
I think that, to be quite honest, I think that Beasley is out-driving Muka at the moment. There's no doubt about it. I can't believe that Beasley chassis is only like as sophisticated as the Rolt chassis that underneath Muka. And I think that Beasley is just putting on a brilliant display of driving as we look at the 42 car.
That's James Steinhelfer, qualified 7th. He was 4th here last year. We visited with him right at the very top of the show, and he now has found himself in the 3rd place. That's the bronze medal. So he's, if he can stay put, he will have improved one spot in terms of the finishing order.
What he would like is
winning his class, really.
He would like Muka to have a stop and go.
He would love that.
Then he'd be second.
Here's your fourth place runner right now, John Metzger. He runs in the Central Division, and it's a Beasley B2. That's the body work. Beasley's really involved in this class with the chassis underneath. Really, there's a number of different chassis options you can run. And he is coming up now on Dr. Decibel, trying to put Charlie Coleman down a lap. Charlie sees him coming, waves him through. But look at this! Traffic, and it's Steinhelfer. And the top 2 are now lapping the field. But Beasley was apparently able to use Steinhelfer as a pick. He's in the lead.
Well, I tell you what, and Beasley's quick through here. And he's also quick through the chicane. So maybe he'll be able to pull out enough lead to hang on to the lead. He seems to be quick through here, but boy, those rear tires worry me just a little bit.
Let's watch him here through the keyhole, and you got to get out here. And if he right there, he gets it a little bit loose.
But that time he's holding a much
tighter
tighter line through there. I think he's got more grip than the Beasley car. The Beasley car running out of grip now. We've seen those tires. He's 16 laps gone, so he's got 4 more to go. This is where the Muka car was quicker before down the straight. You see rubber coming off the track. Woo! Tone out, break it here, boy. Up into 7.
He's done it. Ooh, pushes a little wide there, but this is where Beasley's quick in there. And here's another look at the path.
It's at the carousel. Muka is trapped by Steinhelfer there. And Beasley goes around the outside on the dirty part of the track. He's in the grey, he's in the dirt, the rolled up rubber, but Muka gets totally boxed in there by Steinhelfer, who they're lapping.
Well, and Beasley drove that. He saw that developing. He had to, and he used it to perfection, didn't he?
He did a beautiful job there. Did Ben Beasley. Absolutely outstanding piece of driving there. And he's right out there on the wrong side of the road. He's got all that dirt and grime out there, so he's losing grip. But he hung on there very well at keeping Muka boxed in behind Steinhelfer.
So Beasley is on the move now, and Brian Till, it was a beautiful pass that gave the lead.
Boy, it was impressive standing right here watching, and I think what you saw there was the calm and the skill of Ben Beasley, the experience in this class. I jokingly asked Al, his brother, I said, how much did you guys pay Steinhelfer to block him like that? He said, Brian, I don't even have a radio.
Well, hey, you got to read traffic, and I mean that's as much of it as anything. There may only be 10 cars in this class, but Beasley timed it beautifully when they got to traffic, and I think he feels he has something to prove in this race, and he may have gone a long way to doing just that. Ben Beasley now in the lead here in the C Sports Racer National Championship race for the SCCA's Valvoline Runoffs in Mid-Ohio, and he has opened up his margin just a bit.
Opened up a huge lead. What with Muka? Whoa! Boy, oh boy. He's just sliding that car around like a kid with a new toy. I mean, it is staggering to watch him. It's so exciting. He's got this car so beautifully controlled. I'm just a little bit worried about his rear tires, but he doesn't seem to be worried. He still holds a tight line through the carousel there, so not got a problem there. Pulling away very fast now from Muka in the Rolt.
And I think it might be more Beasley right now, but John Bizignano, we've been speculating about different power plants and different power.
Well, down here where someone in 3rd place actually gets lapped by the 1st and 2nd place cars. You won't see that anyplace else at the Valvoline Runoff. The problem is the 1st and 2nd place cars both have Mazda power. They're at 300 horsepower in the 26 car. It's their own motor, a 1300cc 2-stroke that's only developing about 250 horsepower. So he's 1/5 down on horsepower compared to the Mazdas. That's another thing that has to change.
That's exactly right, and that's why a number of drivers that have been running the Formula Atlantic type cars with those engines in here, those Atlantic engines at best now run about 250 horsepower, and so you plop one of these Mazdas in the back and you get 50 more horse. That's huge, especially at a place like a Road America or a Laguna where you're climbing hills and the like. It's a big help.
And of course, it makes a transmission choice difficult too sometimes, because then you've got all that much more horsepower. You're going to have to change things in the transmission to put up with it.
So Jim Steinhelfer finds himself at well placed at this point, really, for the bronze medal. A little frustrating for him, certainly, that he'll be a lap behind that battle up front. But you almost have to wonder, I mean, certainly those two cars up front, Beasley and Muka, were quick anyway. There's no question of that. But I think this may have become even more of an intense battle with what had developed regarding that yellow flag and the like they were going after. And a very solid run here for John Metzger. He, too, missed the first qualifying session because of a problem. The next session, he was only turning 137s. At the next session, they got some of the engine problems figured out. He trimmed another 3-4 seconds off of that. But he has been struggling, frankly, and it's in this race itself where he finally sounds like that engine's a bit healthy, and it's brought him now up into the 4th spot. And there's Dr. Decibel, Charlie Coleman, running now in the top 5, even though he's well back at this stage. Still in all, he's competing at the runoffs in a national championship and running in the top 5. So give him some credit, but that car is still just not real healthy at this stage.
Not one of the closest grids that we've seen. Charlie Coleman qualified 16 seconds slower than Ben Beasley. Ben Beasley now, I mean, he's putting a lot of daylight between himself now and Jacek Muka, but the fact is that in qualifying he was 9/10 of a second quicker, so that's the sort of gap we thought we'd see. But Muka drove a terrific race there, having got around him. He held him at bay for a long time, but Ben Beasley, once he got around him, he just disappeared.
There's the pace there that you're seeing, and Beasley just turned a lap at 124.9, and here he comes onto the front straight, and Beasley picks up the checkers and another national championship, his 4th by my count in 5 years, and this team and this car is 5th straight. That's a remarkable run as well here, just an incredible effort. In his last lap, the one right before this final lap, he turned at about 8/10 of a second off of his qualifying pace, and it was fully 3 miles an hour quicker than Muka. But let's go right back down to Brian Till, a happy brother watching.
Well, Al Beasley Jr., it seems like the Beasleys own C Sports Racing. For a while there today, it was kind of questionable. How much of that desire after Muka got past him, the questionable call, was it that drove your brother back to the front?
Ben doesn't want to back off for anybody or anything. Just to show you that, at the before the race, he said, take the rev limiter out and throw it away. So we took the rev chip out, and we knew it was going to be a tough race the whole way. And I'm glad we were able to win it out on the track the way that it should have been. It's just a great weekend. The Hoosier Tires and Redline Oil just put us where we needed to be. And it's all the support from the family and friends that really makes it worthwhile, and just a great weekend for us.
A lot of experience and calm on the part of the Beasley family. You guys have won so many races, but how calm were you when you watched them come side by side through the carousel and make that pass for the lead?
I have complete confidence. I mean, I'm more nervous than he is. I have complete confidence in his driving. He's one of the best drivers out there. So, you know, if it's there, he's gonna make it happen.
So much confidence. What position did you keep showing him on the pit board every lap?
P1 the whole way.
It was always P1, guys.
Trying to maybe rein him in just a little bit, but Ben was going to have none of that.
Al himself, of course, a 2-time national champion, 86 and 2000.
Absolutely no question about it. A couple of quick stats for you. 1 caution for 2 laps and an average speed of 94 miles an hour for the race. That's quick. We'll be right back to visit with our champions.
The new Track Pass with Pit Command. Log on to America Online, go to NASCAR.com, and test drive it now. NASCAR.com, America Online, keyword NASCAR.
Speed Channel's coverage of the SCCA Valvoline Runoffs is brought to you by Valvoline. You can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. Well, the race is complete. Here is your look at the top 10, and it is Ben Beasley, Muka Steinhelfer, your 3 medalists. As we take a look at the unofficial results, let's get right down to Brian Till with our winner.
Well, Al Beasley Jr., not the prettiest trophy girl around, but I think his brother will take the gold from him. And Ben, another great national championship. But how much determination, extra determination, did you get a few laps in when that blue car went by?
Well, he went by under a double yellow. I knew it. I had backed out of it. And I just wasn't going to win that way. I knew they gave me the one board. I was in first place even when I was behind them, but I was not going to win like that. I just wasn't going to do it. It would have been so hollow. It would have been unbelievable.
And the pass that you made in the carousel, I mean, I have not seen a better pass here at Mid-Ohio. A lot of strategy there. Was that something you had set up before, or you just had to take your chances when you can?
I don't know. Everything that I do and everything I am is just a blessing from God. And he just gave me wisdom. He told me where to go, and that was the place to be, and I snookered him.
That's a professional racing term, guys. Schnookered. He got schnookered. And let's get down to the guy that got schnookered. He's with John Bizignano.
Well, Jacek Mucha, they say you got snookered on that pass. Tell us about that pass towards the end there when you were leading and that big yellow car came by.
Oh, well, I was leading, and I think I have a little bit of lead, and we came on a back marker. At the same time, my engine started doing something which I don't know what it is. It's some small mechanical gremlin. And on acceleration from the last corner, Ben was quicker, and after that, my engine wasn't up to snuff, and he ran away from me.
Jacek, a little bit of controversy about your pass into the lead. Did you see a yellow flag?
Yes, I see the yellow flag once I finish my pass.
And there was a yellow flag at the start-finish and going into turn one?
I didn't see on the start-finish. I see the flashing light.
And the pass itself, you felt was clean?
Yes.
Okay, well, there we have it. And this car had to be pushed into the pit lane. So, in some ways, very lucky to have it still running at the end of the race.
Well, thanks very much, John. And I think, indeed, a race driver looks down track a long way, and I don't think there's any question that he may have missed that yellow and saw the double yellow of the lights. But the fact of the matter is the flag was there, and we've seen it. There's no question of it. And so as the result, Ben Beasley found himself leading before he thought about it was at this stage. So here's a look at our results. There's James Steinhelfer. He gets the bronze. Then Metzger, what a good comeback after struggling all weekend here to come good in the race itself, end up in fourth. Coleman in fifth. Reber, he struggled. Jeff Miller and David Vandenberg, who knows how this may have unfolded had those two gentlemen stayed healthy. Certainly the race for the bronze could have been a bit more involved and interesting, and not quite the run for James Steinhelfer. And then, of course, you take a look at Leslie and Riccioli, who had the incident early on at this point. But while Ben Beasley enjoys another lap of honor around here, we've got another medal winner. He's with Brian Till.
Well, Jim Steinhelfer, they say to finish first, you first have to finish, and you might not have won the thing, but you finished, you got a podium and a bronze.
I did, and I couldn't be more pleased. I had so much support this year from my wife Anne-Marie and son John and Mark Mercer and his crew that just really took care of me and gave me a really good car here. You know, we made a lot of changes just before we got here, and we're still dialing it in, so I'd have liked to have been a little more competitive, but I think your words are exactly right. To finish first you got to finish, and this time we finished it, and we were running strong at the end. A little more to go towards the end there, but we had a great race, and we just couldn't be more pleased and more proud.
You know, they say that this C Sports racing class, it's kind of like an experimental class. It's mixing a lot of chemicals in the lab. It seems like you guys are going to keep mixing and working on a better car?
Absolutely. You know, like we changed the wing, we changed the shocks, we changed everything before we came this year, but we had a really sound, fundamental car. And the weather gods were kind to us here this year for the first time in a while, and we really got to run and see what we could really do. You know, next year we'll come back and have a little bit more for Ben and Jacek, but we had a great race, and we just couldn't be more pleased.
Well, they say it's an experimental class, and you heard he mentioned the family. It's the family that's helping him mix the chemicals, and they're looking to be back next year. Let's get down to fourth place with John Bizignano.
Well, John Metzger had a great run, but he doesn't like being lapped. John, you've got a Foreman Atlantic motor in this car, and you're thinking about a change.
Yes, we're hoping maybe go with Toyota Power next year. Give us a little more equal playing field.
How much power would that add?
Well, I'm down right now probably 25, 30 horsepower to those folks.
That's got to kill you on these long straightaways.
Well, I think if you notice me going down the straightaways, those guys are going by me like I was sitting still. I could pretty well hang with them in the corners, but, you know, just no power on the other end.
And what about the chassis itself? This was a Formula car made into a sports racer?
This is an RT5 chassis. Ben Beasley actually built this car, too. It's just a different power configuration.
Did he build it the same way he built his car?
I wouldn't think so.
I think we see a Beasley customer here in the future. Congratulations.
Okay, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Well, what they say, there's Ben Beasley right there, and they say imitation is the greatest form of flattery. And I guess if you can't beat them, you got to join them, and maybe that's exactly what they'll do, is find themselves a Beasley chassis.
Well, that's the way to win all the races as the Beasley family. Al and Ben win all the races, get all the pole positions, got all the cups, and of course sell all the cars as well. So it's great.
And in this category, we talked a little bit about there's a Radical chassis that's coming along. So there are some options that these guys can run in the future if they want to pursue it. And that Radical chassis, like the Beasley chassis itself, you could drop different engines in it. And we may see this class evolving a little bit as to its approach in the future. Well, we thank you very much for joining us today here on Speed for our coverage of the C Sports Racing National Championship. It was a very eventful race. Remember to check out speedtv.com, online information about all things motorsports. Thanks for joining us here. For David Hobbs, Brian Till, and John Bizignano, I'm Greg Kramer. We look forward to visiting with you again right here on Speed Channel. Until then, take care, everybody.
At the Runoffs on Runoffs here at Mid-Ohio. Larry Connor took the lead from the pole sitter Keith Lively. Connor, the defending Formula Atlantic runoff champion, dominated the race. Keith Lively did all he could do to keep the leader in his sights, and with just 3 laps to go, Connor's 10-second lead evaporated as the left rear wheel started to come loose. But Lively, with a gear problem of his own, ran out of time. Larry Connor became just the 3rd driver in Formula Atlantic history to get back-to-back national championship wins. The quickest cars in the SCCA runoffs are next. You want speed? Well, Formula Atlantic will give it to you. These are the most sophisticated cars in the runoff paddock. And right out of the box, Mike Biancardi took his Toyota-powered machine and broke a track record that had stood here for 8 years. We know he's going to be very, very fast. And how about the beautiful Blue 07 of Jacek Mucha? He's blown down from Canada in his Mazda-powered car to try to put the chill on the field and earn a national championship here in 2002. These are just 2 of the fast guys. Let's go to Dorsey Schrader. He's got a few more.
Well, Keith Lively and this beautiful Rolls have got to be everyone's kind of favorite pick to win this year. After all, on the way here, he's won 3 times before, and all of that with the fuel problem. He couldn't get the thing to run full throttle. Guess what? Today, they found the source of the problem. He's running really good. Next to me, David Wilcox. He's the Midwest Division champion in a Ralt as well, but an older one. This is an old Ralt DB4. Doesn't stop David from going fast. He's won 4 times this year, and this is a young lion wanting to get to the front. Let's see what happens.
The Valvoline Runoffs, Sports Car Club of America's National Championship Showdown. The season-ending race to determine the #1 and gold, silver, and bronze medals. You're there on Speed. This is Formula Atlantic, and it is the fastest field in the entire weekend of racing at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. The 39th running of the Valvoline Runoffs and the 9th time in a row we have been here to Ohio. Let's take a look at the layout.
Beautiful racetrack here in Mid-Ohio. It's perfect for these fast cars. 2.4 miles in length, 15 turns in that, and 20 laps. These guys will do the 20 laps faster than any class here, as they are really, really fast race cars.
Let's take a look at the Valvoline starting grid and how they will begin. Mike Biancardi, as we mentioned, broke an 8-year-old track record with a 1:19.839, by far the fastest lap around Mid-Ohio this weekend. Larry Connor second. And you see the rest of the field that will start this race. We've got some pretty fast cars out there, and a lot of them. We expect them to give us some good, tight competition. Now let's check in with the first of our 2 pit reporters. Here's Chris Neville.
Well, last year we saw that Larry Connor came away with the victory, but he did have a failure, and that failure occurred on the left rear back here. He had a bearing problem. What the team did in the offseason is they went to an aircraft products manufacturer, and they said, we need some custom bearings made for this left rear upright. They wanted to make sure there are going to be no mechanical failures this year to hopefully assure Larry another spot in victory circle. A little bit further back on the grid, Guy Hobbs.
Thanks, Chris. We're down here in 5th starting spot with Arsene Yelkin. On Thursday, Arsene had a horrible crash here at Mid-Ohio. He had to go to hospital. He was there for 5 hours. The car was pretty much demolished. They took some parts off it that they could, and now they have a brand new Swift 008 that they'll be running here. They put some of the parts from the old car on that were savable, and now Arsene Yelkin will go out and try and run. Remember, these cars have not been on track since Friday, so 2 days. This is the first time they've seen it. GT1 cars have put some rubber down. These guys are going to go out and put on a good battle. Arsene Yelkin running with the Toyota power and the Who's Your tires.
So Dorsey, the cars are getting set to go out, and on slicks, they have to have some concern at least about the weather that continues to roll through the area. Sometimes the sun pops out, sometimes it's overcast and cloudy, rain threatens, and it's certainly cold.
They're going to have to make sure they get heat in the tires, and I sure would like to know what the tape was on the front of Arsene Yelkin's helmet. Did you see all the tape on the nose of it? Of course, you got your face right out there at 170 miles an hour, so we're talking aerodynamics here, folks. So I don't know what that's all about.
Well, we'll have to check on it just a little bit. Guy Hobbs is right there, and we're sure that he will. But these are the men and their machines that'll be racing in just a few moments. So we'll send them on their way and come back and wave the green flag on the Valvoline Runoffs.
Now this here, that's the drain plug. It lets the oil drain out into the pan. Remember, she's got a lot of mileage on her, but one day she'll be all yours.
Help keep the family car in the family with Valvoline's Max Life. Max Life, the first motor oil specially formulated to recondition used seals to help prevent leaks, helping your higher mileage engine run for a long, long time.
After our naps, we'll flush the radiator.
Now there's an entire line of Max Life products that'll help keep your higher mileage car around for a long time.
Whether you're on a straightaway or a twisted road, Kumo's always ready for the unexpected. Ultra high performance, passenger, and truck tires. World-class quality and value. Kumo. Way to go.
Iron Maiden. Edward the Great, the greatest hits. The new compilation from the band that set the standard for hard rock. Featuring 16 of the best tracks spanning Iron Maiden's entire career. Edward the Great includes all the hits like The Number of the Beast, Run to the Hills, The Trooper, The Wicker Man, and many more. This is the definitive Iron Maiden collection. Act now and receive a limited edition Edward the Great poster. Supplies are limited, so act fast. Iron Maiden. Edward the Great, the greatest hits. Call the number on your screen now. Rush delivery is available. Up the irons.
Speed Channel's coverage of the SCCA Valvoline Runoffs is brought to you by Valvoline. You can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. As we promised, we'd send them on their way, and there they go, out onto their siding lap to warm up the tires a little bit here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio. The Formula Atlantic National Championship of the SCCA Runoffs. Let's take a little bit closer look at just what's under the bodywork there.
Everything that the imagination will allow. This is the fastest car and the most sophisticated car aerodynamically here. Full ground effects, even though it's a flat bottom car. These are like Formula One cars. They have a tremendous amount of grip. They only have, well, there's different engines that you can run. Most of them have a 1600cc, 4-valve, twin-cam Toyota, but there's also a Mazda motor in here, and this class was derived around the old Ford Cosworth. So some of these older chassis might, in fact, have a Ford Cosworth.
All right, so we have Ralt chassis, Swift chassis, and a pretty good mix of machines out there. We're going to have an onboard camera for you, courtesy of number 66, Keith Lively, and he is starting in the number 3 spot. That's the view you will get from him. 2 race cars and a pace car up in front of him. And let's go to Chris Neville for an update on this car.
Well, last year Keith Lively was definitely making a run to the front, but he couldn't quite pull it off. And what his problem was is he said the track was real tight last year, meaning he was having a lot of understeer problems and he couldn't loosen the car up. So he ended up burning the front tires off the car and couldn't get the victory. Now this year, he's saying the track has loosened up quite a bit. He's more comfortable with that. He thinks he has a good setup, so he thinks he's going to get the victory today. Back down to Guy Hobbs.
Chris, Dorsey, you had a question about all the duct taping around the helmet there of Arsene Yelkin. I don't know if you remember, David Embringham used to do that all the time, and it's basically to try and stop the visor from fogging up, although I can't see what conditions would make it fog up, but it did look like it may rain earlier, and I think that was a precaution in case it was going to rain. It's not going to rain, but it is fairly chilly, overcast. Getting heat into the tyres is going to be one issue. They only had a 10-minute warm-up this morning, and that was the first time they've been on the track in 2 days. So it's going to be kind of interesting because this track has completely changed since they last raced on it.
Good point. Take a look at these tires, folks. You see those little white marks on them all through the tires? Those are pieces of rock that he has not got cleaned off yet, and he's only a half a lap from the start. Those tires are not going to have the grip that they need unless he can really be more aggressive about shaking that stuff off of it.
Not unlike a studded snow tire on pavement is what that would be with all those little gravel pieces. A lot of these cars pit not on pavement or not in the garages. There's almost 700 cars came here, and so naturally there wasn't enough room for everybody to pit on pavement. So some of them have to drive through the gravel to get to the grid.
And these tires are very, very, very sticky. They pick up every single little thing they run over. Most guys would bring it to the grid on rain tires and switch them out. But that particular shot we saw, you can visibly see that there is rocks embedded into the treadless tires, and they're still there.
And they're still there indeed. Some of the corner workers signaling around the racetrack. They've been on duty all week long, and they have done a fabulous job here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And most of the drivers will wave at the workers when they go by, and many of them even carry little signs or stickers. Thanks, workers. Thanks to the workers. Couldn't do it without them. Ready to go green here. The green flag is up there in the distance as you watch from on board Keith Lively's car as he starts in third. We're heading towards the flag stand right now, and we're going green. Behind pole sitter Mike Biancardi, looking for his first championship. Larry Connor, the defending champion, started in second position. Lively is right there, and wow, Larry Connor has dropped back into third.
Yeah, didn't get a start he wanted at all. He dropped way back there.
Biancardi out in front right now. Came here and broke the track record, and he really threw down big time with that car. He's out of Rolling Meadows, Illinois. And Biancardi has been a very, very confident man all weekend.
Now, these guys have very soft tires, and with the amount of downforce the cars make, a cool day like this makes big horsepower in those engines. This could be a track record type of a day for them. Oh,
whoa, everybody loose except for Larry Connor. He managed to rail through there pretty good and make up some ground on the leaders, both of whom were a little bit loose. So heating the tires is still an issue.
Absolutely, and I think that's exactly what we just saw. Both those cars went into a four-wheel slide right in the middle of that corner. Larry Connor looks hooked up. He's got a run coming now, headed up toward the keyhole.
Yep, he is right there, along with Rennie Clayton running in second position. Your leader is Mike Biancardi, and Connor really closed a lot of ground on Rennie Clayton, and now he's challenging him for the number 2 spot. All this dicing is helping Mike Biancardi out in front as Connor takes the position, runs Rennie Clayton up onto the curb there, and
Rennie was way wide up there in the keyhole. Never got the car to turn in. Larry saw it, went inside of him, and I think it just continued understeering. The car would not turn in, and it just got further out, and finally went up on the curb.
So two-time and defending champion Larry Connor now setting out after the leader Mike Biancardi, who tried to make the most of a good start, and Connor being trapped behind a couple of other cars. Let's see if Larry Connor can run down the leader right now.
Pretty impressive with Biancardi breaking that track record, but I'll tell you what, Larry Connor only 0.05 of a second slower, so we're both right there knocking on the door.
Well, absolutely, and that was just a little bit of rivalry going on. There wasn't a lot of difference in time between the two, but the fact that Biancardi got the track record and not Larry Connor was definitely a little bit of in your face. Now Mike Biancardi is leading the race, and Larry Connor is trying to chase the man that broke the track record that he had broken just a few minutes before that. Here are your top 10, the way they run right now. We'll be right back to sort them out after this.
Former U.S. Marine, drill instructor, Vietnam veteran. Now he's facing his greatest challenge. Your questions.
What does GI stand for? What kind of grabastic, unorganized question is that?
Join R. Lee Ermey.
Can it, numbnuts? Now listen up. Want to know how to drive a tank? How a gas mask works? What dog tags are used for? I know all the answers, so ask the questions, maggot.
Mail call, Sundays, on the History Channel. Ask at your own risk.
The year in racing. NASCAR Winston Cup. From Marlin to Johnson, Martin to Stewart. It was a championship race to the very end. Take a look back at the season that was. The highs, the lows.
A guy that messes up that many times needs to go back and learn how to drive.
And all the action that made the 2002 season great. Speed Channel presents The Year in Racing, NASCAR Winston Cup. Thursday night at 9, exclusively on Speed.
Do you have good credit?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you only think you have? Do you know how to check your credit report and find out? A surprise on your credit report could mean you'd be turned down for a mortgage,
Yeah.
a car loan, even a credit card. Which is why you should log on to freecreditreport.com. At freecreditreport.com, we'll show you how to find out online what's in your credit report, who's been checking it, and whether everything's accurate. So log on to freecreditreport.com today. You're going to do it now, aren't you? Great. Now, how about you?
This year in Formula Atlantic, one driver is trying something that has never been done before. Larry Connor has won the previous 2 runoff races in Atlantic, and this year, only his 4th year in Formula Atlantic, he's going for the hat trick, 3 in a row.
Yeah, we came here in 1999, finished runner-up. We're fortunate enough to win it the last 2 years. This year is probably the most competitive field. We got a good car. I like our chances, but our work will be cut out for us.
Well, to win runoff races, you've got to be good, but it also helps to have a little luck of the Irish with you.
Larry Connor running in 2nd position right now and trying to run down the leader, Mike Biancardi. How about that, Chris Neville?
Well, I just spoke with his crew, and they felt that they probably should have gotten the pole. They've been really happy with the setup all weekend long. However, in qualifying, their jetting wasn't right, so they didn't get everything they wanted out of the motor. But they got that figured out. Now they've got a car that they are 100% comfortable with, and they think he's going to the front.
Right now, the front is represented by Mike Biancardi, and there you can see the difference between the 1st and 2nd place cars. Larry Connor in 2nd position. Going back to the battle for 4th position, Austin Yelkin and Keith Lively in the blue car.
Like I said at the beginning of the show, Keith Lively, the guy I talked to, has had trouble with his carburation. And what would happen was we'd get up around 9,500 RPM and the thing would just nose over. It wouldn't run. When they finally got to the runoffs after a whole year of this frustration, they find the problem right here and they've got it fixed, or at least they think they do.
So Lively trying to take the number 4 spot away from Austin Yelkin. So far has been unsuccessful, and now you can see what you were talking about, the little gravel pieces on the tire pretty much disappeared at this point.
Yeah, those are history. He's got some heat in him now.
Especially the left side tire there is showing nice and slick as he comes out to make a move in the braking zone. Keith Lively takes the spot from Austin Yelkin and has moved up to 4th.
Good clean pass right there. That was a great view from on board there. You can look out over the tires and see that they're clean. You can also see that the shiny spot doesn't go all the way across the front of the tire, that the contact patch that meets the road isn't full width, and that's because of the camber or negative camber that they put in that car for the corners. If we looked through that corner, when he went through the corner, the tire would be completely slick across, all the way across.
Keith Lively in the number 4 spot. I have to ask the question that with the cold conditions here, are we going to see very different race cars as these laps progress, or have they already pretty much come in?
They should be good by now already. These things make enough downforce that they really push the tire deeply into the pavement, so they make heat quickly. First couple laps are the only thing you got to worry about. But now you can see those tires, good sheen to them as they go through the corner. And this is what I'm talking about right here. This little bit of area that's not like the area over there. And it's right now you see it come across as it goes through this corner. That pattern will go all the way across the tread now. As that's the camber in the tire leaning over when he gets in the corner.
Here's a pretty tight little tussle going on, and a whole lot of race cars out there involved in that. The 07 of Jacek Mucha. And ahead of him, a couple of other cars. So Mucha involved in a nice battle. There's the 49 of Dan Selznick in 9th position.
And I should say that these chassis now, there's several older chassis that give up a huge amount of downforce and drag. That was a pass right there for 6th.
Yep,
some of these older cars just, even though they're in the same class, they're not in the same class.
James Opperman, the man who just went by Richard Zober for 6th position now. We've got a half a dozen cars running nose to tail off the pace of the leaders, but having way more fun because they've got some racing going on out there right now. Look at them come streaming under the camera here. We'll continue to watch this battle and the one up front as Keith Lively now sets out after third place.
Wherever there's filth, there should be a scumbuster. Everything's bustable with the scrubbing power of the scumbuster, built by Black & Decker.
Using an ordinary ratchet in a tight spot can really slow you down. In Trans Am racing, speed counts both on and off the track. Now, from Trans Am Tools comes the Crank, a powerful new speed ratchet set. Sure, the Crank can be used as an ordinary ratchet, but there's nothing ordinary about it. It's engineered so you can get into those tight spaces where ordinary ratchets can't work. Watch. In the twist mode, twist the handle to tighten or loosen the fastener. In the crank mode, hold the handle to really crank up the speed over ordinary ratchets.
The Crank, a 28-piece set with SAE and metric sizes, screwdriver bits, adapters, and an extension, all in a convenient carrying case with a lifetime guarantee.
I've never seen anything like it. Definitely like one of these in my toolbox.
You could spend over $90 on tools and still not do all the things you can do with the Crank. But if you call right now, you can get the full crank set, a $79 value for 2 easy payments of only $24.99. Call 1-800-328-0550 for the Crank. Call now.
A year in racing, the NASCAR Busch Series. Grand National stock cars at their finest. Catch all the action and highlights. The year in racing, the NASCAR Busch Series. Thursday night at 10, only on Speed.
The Valvoline Runoffs, National Championships of the Sports Car Club of America for the 9th year. We're at Lexington, Ohio's Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and this is the championship in Formula Atlantic. We're glad that all of you could join us. Brian Trevor and Dorsey Schrader here in the booth. Chris Neville and Guy Hobbs downstairs, and we're going to go downstairs right now to Guy Hobbs.
Yeah, I just checked in with Mike Biancardi's crew and said, what's he telling? And they said, not much. He's pretty happy with the car. He's got some heat in the tyres. He said he took it easy the first couple of laps. Now his lap times are coming down. In fact, his last lap was 1:20, and the first couple of laps were 1:22. So he's very happy with the situation right now.
This battle continues to heat up as we zoom in on it. The 19 car of Bernie Saunier from Missouri in the 19 car. He's kind of right there in the middle of it, at the front of the second group, you might say, or the second half of this half dozen cars.
Well, Bernie Saunier and I go way back into Formula Atlantic. He's been around a long time, and he's always in the middle of it one way or the other. So he was also involved with the crash with Ashton Yelkin. He got hit from behind. It wasn't his fault. There was a spun-out car. But both those cars quite heavily damaged, and the crew's doing a fantastic job to get both those guys back in this race.
It's James Opperman who is leading this group out of Pottstown, PA. He's in a Ralt.
And also a longtime competitor in this class. James Opperman has been here for many, many years.
He's in that blue and white car that's just disappearing out of the picture. Just behind him, it is Richard Zober in the red number 21. And Jacek Musha in the 07, the beautiful blue car. Just a beautiful color on that car.
Well, these guys pretty equally matched to one another, it looks like, anyways.
There's Opperman in 6th position right now. Zober behind him, then Musha, then Dan Selznick, Bernie Saunier, and Elibarda. So there's the 07 of Musha and the 21 of Zober now.
And that was a nice pass down there for 7th place.
Yes,
he got underneath them in the brake zone.
So now Musha moves up to challenge James Opperman, perhaps. And he too has taken some time to let the heat come in his tires. Opperman seems to have the car he wants now for the closing laps of this race. And his lap times are coming down like just about everybody else's. They're still well off qualifying, and Mike Biancardi doing low 121s, did a high 119 to set the track record.
Well, I tell you, there's a lot of different cars. Like I said, some of these older cars, like Bernie Saulnier's car right there, the red car, the 19, who's getting passed or almost got passed right there. That's an older car. It really doesn't have any chance of winning up in the front. And you wonder, then why would you run the car? Well, let me tell you, these are expensive cars. The car that you see up in the front, that car is over a $1 million budget to run that car for a year. And the brand new price of one of these cars is well over into the upper 100,000s.
So Jacek Musha leads the parade behind James Opperman. Opperman has kind of slithered away from this group, but they have all stayed nose to tail and are having a ball out there.
That they are having a real good dice of it, all of them. Any one of those guys, they're all there running exactly the same lap times, drafting one another. There's Bernie Saulnier again, and James Opperman.
Their names are starting across the top of your screen right now, beginning with 7th place, Jacek Musha. Then it's Zober, Dan Selznick, Bernie Saulnier, and Eli Barda. There's another pass. Yep.
Well, they're swapping it every time they get to the end of the straightaway, so they're all taking advantage of the draft and running down the straightaway and setting each other up.
Terrific battle here as up front Mike Biancardi has opened up what you might call a comfortable lead if you think a second and a half is comfortable. But in the meantime, we're having a good time watching this battle for 7th place. Musha goes under the camera, followed by the rest of his racing pals out there. 8 laps are complete in the National Championship in Formula Atlantic.
I have an apology to make for knitting you a present rather than buying something you'd enjoy. I thought each present was a little piece of me, a person who, I'm now told, isn't very good at knitting. I'm sorry. This year, I'm shopping at Staples. You should, too. They have the exciting technology gifts everyone wants. And this month, you can get free delivery from Staples.com.
IndyCar Toyota Atlantic Championship Series, all the chassis are the same, the Swift 008. It was mandated a couple of years ago. However, in the SCCA-run Formula Atlantic Championship, you may run whichever chassis you wish, from as far back as 1988 all the way up to 2002. This car you're seeing right here is a 1994 Rolt run by Keith Lively, and Keith seems to be the car to have in this championship.
Well, we think so. If you look at the front of the grid right now, it's mostly Rolt RT41s, and while there is some newer equipment, as you pointed out, we feel that at this point in time, this is the package to have.
A very sharp looking package as well. And now, David Wilcox, you run in the 1988 DB4, a little older car, but a good car to learn in?
Correct, yes. We're at a slight disadvantage technically due to the age of the car. However, it is a great car for young drivers to get into the series and learn the Formula Atlantics and possibly move on to the Toyota Atlantic Championship Series.
And it certainly seems to be a competitive car.
All right, well, the little off-track excursion, or nearly off-track excursion there, has taken one of our combatants out of this battle. Dave Wilcox bringing up the rear right now in the number 70 car, the young man that we just heard from. There he is.
And these are all of the older style cars that we're talking about right here. That's why they're so competitive together. In fact, as they were saying, the Rolt RT41, well, they occupy the top 4 positions in qualifying, but these guys are having the best race, better than up front.
The Rolt RT41s occupy the top 4 positions in the race as well, as Dave Wilcox brings up the rear. And Austin Yelkin was the car that we saw nearly off the track, and he has had some kind of mechanical problem, moved out of the way and let the others go by.
Yeah, I thought that's what he had done. He just yanked over to the side all at once, which is a smart thing to do, better than getting run over from behind. These cars here, they're all equally matched. Look at them all checking each other's mirrors because they're using the draft. We're going to take a look at what happened to Ashton Yelkin a moment ago, and it's a shame, but looks like it's a mechanical failure for him at some point.
Race without him continues here as Jacek Musha leads the group, and here is Austin Yelkin back in the pits. So the day is over for him, and at least his crew is saying good job. For as long as you were out there, you were getting it done, and nicely.
These are the guys that are having the most fun, though, right there. You know, got a good classic 6-car battle, and it's that lead changes literally every lap, or some positioning within the 6. Every lap at the end of the straightaway, somebody does a pass on someone, so this is a great race.
Jacek Musha from Canada is originally from Poland, and it was a very enjoyable conversation with him a couple of times. Pretty much all business, that man, though, and he came out here and once His car came into him. The tires got enough heat in it. He just went to work, and he's been the leader of this little group since he moved up a couple of spots within that group a while ago. Now he's starting to get a little bit more of a challenge as the 49 car of Dan Selznick is really starting to pressure him a little bit. We go back to Mike Biancardi, the leader, who is still hustling. He can't afford to relax yet because Larry Connor, the two-time champion, is stalking him. He's been holding him at bay at about a second and a half for the last 4 or 5 laps or so, but you have to think that wily veteran there and two-time champ Connor is just observing.
Well, that particular lap, Connor with a 7/10 of a second quicker lap, it won't take many of those 7/10 to be right up on the tailgate there if there were a tailgate.
So Larry Connor through the keyhole and down the straightaway. Mike Biancardi running not exactly scared, but certainly paying attention to everything and all the little details up front as he has got a two-time champion. Let's go to Guy Hobbs.
Yeah, we're talking about how serious Larry Connor takes this, trying to go for 3 in a row. He's brought in Thomas Knapp this weekend to help engineer and run the crew. Thomas, he is gaining just a little bit now.
Yeah, Mike's tough on us on the straight, but we thought with our downforce settings we'd be a little better off on the grip for the cold track conditions. But the number 3 man getting in front of us at the start probably gave Mike enough of a gap to get some heat into his tires. We'll see whether we expect Larry to be quicker over 20 laps. We're just looking for low ET to win the race. So.
Larry's throwing down a bunch of 120s here. Of course, Thomas Knapp, you may recognize him. Of course, he engineered a bunch of teams in the IRL, including Greg Ray. Greg Ray won this race in 1993.
And he did indeed, along with Bobby Rahal, the winner in 75, Skip Barber, the winner in 70. Just a few of the names to which Mike Biancardi is trying to add his as champion of Formula Atlantic.
Now this here, that's the drain plug. It lets the oil drain out into the pan. Remember, she's got a lot of mileage on her, but one day, she'll be all yours.
Help keep the family car in the family with Valvoline's Max Life. Max Life, the first motor oil specially formulated to recondition used seals to help prevent leaks, helping your higher mileage engine run for a long, long time.
After our naps, we'll flush the radiator.
Now there's an entire line of Max Life products that'll help keep your higher mileage car around for a long time.
The year in racing, Formula One. Montoya pushed, Ralph soared, but Schumacher and his Ferrari charged ahead to the championship. The year in racing, Formula One. Wednesday night at 8, exclusively on Speed.
This is the sound. These are the results. This is the sound of the PowerFlex by Gold's Gym, the authority since 1965. Gold's Gym gives you one powerful machine with 65 club-quality exercises. The secret to the PowerFlex begins with the swivel flex pulleys that provide you with free range of motion. Next, Power Stroke Resistance simulates the natural movement of your muscles and allows you to move from 10 to 410 pounds of resistance with one simple stroke. Call now for free information about how you can get the Gold's Gym PowerFlex into your home for as low as $49 a month. With the Gold's Gym PowerFlex, you get the lat tower, the multi-position bench, hip strap, rowing seat, ankle strap, handles, and space saver design. As a special bonus, when you order, you'll also get the Gold's Gym PowerFlex leg developer for stronger legs and shapelier hips and thighs. A $200 value absolutely free. Call the number on your screen now.
Welcome back to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course as the lead 2 cars flash by. Mike Biancardi has obviously gotten the word and checked his mirrors, put his foot down, and he was just a 10th quicker that time, or actually 0.08 of a second quicker than Larry Connor the last lap, and that is the fast lap of the race. Larry Connor owns the lap, and Mike Biancardi just ever so slightly slower, but he's pretty much evened it up now.
Connor with just under 102 mile/hour average around Mid-Ohio, so that shows you how much grip they make. He's the faster of the 2 cars. You heard his crew chief right there say, we expect him to get better as it goes on, and it appears it is.
And low ET, that's what he was talking about, the lowest lap time in the race, so that'll go into the books for the lap record so far anyway in the 2002 Formula Atlantic race. Biancardi a little loose, coming off that corner, a little early on the gas. Maybe he's starting to feel the pressure.
The track record yet and all is still safe because they're not anywhere near the time set down before. Right now, the fastest race lap at a 20.4 qualifying was at 19.8, so they've got to have second to find someone.
Well, SCCA also keeps lap records during the race, so it's kind of 2 different things than an apple and an orange. But here's Biancardi and Larry Connor still battling, and this is a pass or an attempted pass on Jacek Musha, but he's a tough customer to try to get around.
Bernie Sonier having a thought about the outside there. I'm glad he decided not to do that. But look at how it stacked everybody up. All these guys not going for it.
Some near contact there between Dave Wilcox and the cars around him. Eli Barda behind and Richard Zober in front. But Jacek Musha, tough man to pass. He just hung on.
Yeah, he shut the door right in his face when he did.
Let's go down to Chris Neville.
Well, a little update on Jacek Musha and Dan Selznick. These are the only two Mazdas in the class out here, and these guys are running nose to tail. But Dan Selznick's crew is saying they're thinking that if he can get around Musha, he should hopefully be able to start moving through. He did start 10th. He's moving up, so they're thinking he can hopefully break away here. Back up to you guys.
Well, mistake by Dave Wilcox back there in the carousel sends him wide. He loses his position and gets past. So, but he's still in this train, so that fight's not over.
There is Jacek Musha, who's holding on to the front here in spite of Dan Selznick's every effort to get around him. Bernie Sonier in the third car in line in the red car. Now inside, nope, can't do it.
Now watch Bernie. Bernie might get a good run off that because he had to check up mid-corner there, or midway down the hill.
Jacek Musha on the gas down the long straightaway is able to extend, if not hold, the advantage. But here, coming out of the draft, nice. Selznick's going to try it and make it look easy that time. He just rocketed by and late on the brakes. He spins out.
Right there around the corner, he pinched it off too tight. And now side by side, Simier takes that position.
Yeah, and Musha's just rattled or has a problem because he's losing spots one after the other. Must have missed a shift there in all the confusion as he came upon the spinning car of Dan Selznick that had just passed him.
Wow, Selznick got in there, got in too tight and spun, and it stacked everybody up. Bernie Sonier came way ahead on that thing. He took off and just now look at it.
So positions have changed in wholesale numbers back here in 6th place on back, and we'll continue to watch this nice battle for a while. Right after this, you come back and join us.
Former U.S. Marine, drill instructor, Vietnam veteran. Now he's facing his greatest challenge. Your questions.
What does GI stand for? What kind of grabastic, unorganized question is that?
Join R. Lee Ermey.
Can it, numbnuts! Now listen up. Want to know how to drive a tank? How a gas mask works? What dog tags are used for? I know all the answers, so ask the questions, maggot!
Mail call, Sundays, on the History Channel. Ask at your own risk.
Oh, well, I'm the kind of light for any job you do, any job that needs 3 hands, but you've got only 2, 'cause I'm the snake light from Black & Decker. I'll get around, I'm the snake light.
NASCAR Dirt to Daytona, the only game with 4 NASCAR series. Power sliding on dirt. Pulling G's in a modified. Trading paint in tough trucks. Racing 750 horses. Race anytime, anywhere, in anything in NASCAR Dirt to Daytona. The only game with 4 NASCAR series for PlayStation 2 and Nintendo GameCube, rated E for everyone.
Some say Toyota Atlantics looks like a really intense game. Well, in this game, you don't pick up health points or magically find money along the way. There's no pit stops for super tires. No do-overs, no bonus lives. You get one shot. When you're fighting 24 opponents, all powered by the same Toyota engine, this is anything but a game.
Ugly brush piles messing up your property? Call 1-800-616-3939 for your free catalog on the professional powered DR Chipper. Turn those brush piles into valuable mulch. Call 1-800-616-3939 today.
Mike Biancardi with a tenuous lead and 5 laps to go for a national championship here in the SCCA Valvoline Runoffs. That man, Larry Connor, has been stalking him for the last 10 laps or more. And, a little loose moment there for Biancardi as he rear steers it through the keyhole and heads down the straightaway. This is where Connor's crew said he was tough.
Well, I said they were just under 102. Guess what? They just broke through into the fastest lap. Now they're over 102. 120.4 for the speed, or for the time. 102.324 mile per hour. That means they're going real fast.
Now the lap times keep coming down, and Larry Connor's the one that's nudging him in that direction as he pursues Mike Biancardi who is after his first championship, and Connor, as we have already documented, is going for the hat trick, the 3 in a row. Never been done before in Formula Atlantic.
And once he gets up there, it's going to be interesting to see these two cars right now, who's got the speed where on the racetrack. Looks like Connors gets into the corners faster, and Biancardi gets out of the corner faster, which is almost how he always does go. If you're fast in the corner, you usually slow out.
Through the carousel and out of turn 15, the final corner on the racetrack. 16 laps are now complete. We're inside 4 to go, and Larry Connor behind Mike Biancardi, who's behind a whole gaggle of cars that we've been watching for a while.
That's the group we've been watching, right? And they're having their own grand time of it also. These two fast guys, if it gets really loose, Biancardi almost loses it there. When he gets into the middle of this fracas, it's not going to be a pullover because they're racing each other quite hard. So they're not going to move over and let these two fast guys by. Not in the middle of their own battle.
And if you're a fan of age and treachery versus youth and enthusiasm, you have to think that Larry Connor's experience is going to really stand him in good stead here. Although Biancardi has the first look at traffic. Boy. He's going to go to the right. He's going to get himself in the middle past 2 of them and leaves Larry Connor hung out to dry. Connor gets 1 of them, and now he's got all the S's to try to get around this traffic. Nice move, Mike Biancardi.
And Larry's got to really, there he does, he dives down the inside. He's got to get really aggressive right now. He can't allow him to get away. Oh my gosh, that Bernson just let it happen real nicely there. But boy, you talk about cutting through. They really cut through.
Man, that was a sharp sword that both of them had through that traffic, and they both did a very good job. The net effect is that the difference between Larry Connor and Mike Biancardi is just about the same, was at least until Dave Wilcox entered the picture. Now he moves over, and Connor lost a 10th or 2 in that exchange.
That was fantastic driving. Look at this. They've spread 3 wide across the front. Of course, I don't know that all of them know that the fast cars, the 2 leaders, are right in the midst of them. But Dave Wilcox somehow got his way to the front of that. Last time we saw him, he was at the back, and it breaks up these guys.
So, some very tense moments in traffic for the leaders. They're not done yet. As Mike Biancardi approaches a couple of more cars, we're going to take a commercial break and be right back.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? Now, through Matrix Direct, a 35-year-old man could get $250,000 coverage for less than $15 a month. Guaranteed for 10 years from Protective Life Insurance Company. A 40-year-old man could get $250,000 coverage for less than $17 a month. Call for a fast, free quote over the phone. Matrix Direct, 1-800-390-3016.
F3000, Formula One's premier feeder series. F3000, equal cars mean the drivers make the difference. And the place to see F3000 is Speed Channel. F3000 Austria, tonight at 8, exclusively on Speed.
You've watched baseball all your life. You know the pitcher's glance. The windup is nod to the catcher. But can you hit his fastball? Now's your chance to hit a home run. Introducing Hit the Pros from Fox Sports. Hit real pitches from real Fox TV games. It doesn't get any more real than this. All online at foxsports.com. So go crazy. Swing now at foxsports.com.
Your expectations about sports news will change forever. Fox Sports World Report will bring you the most comprehensive coverage of international sports. Soccer, rugby, cricket, motorsports, and all the latest sports news from around the globe. Fox Sports World Report is only on Fox Sports World, the home of world-class sports.
Another? Oh, come on. Come on!
Tired of annoying pop-up ads? Move to Earthlink. Call now to get 6 months of service at half price. Our new pop-up blocker tool gets rid of virtually all pop-up ads, so they can't get to you. And we recently ranked highest in customer satisfaction among dial-up internet service providers from J.D. Power & Associates.
Where do they keep coming from?
Switch now and also get Earthlink's new Total Access 2003 software. Less spam and more local access numbers to help you get connected and stay connected. Call now to get it all for 6 months of service at half price. And say goodbye to pop-ups with our new pop-up blocker tool.
7.0. 7 point this.
Why wait? Move to Earthlink. Call 1-800-880-1255.
Keith Lively running in fourth with the onboard camera here at the SCCA Valvoline Runoffs. He is right behind Rennie Clayton and tries to pull alongside of him right now.
Yeah, he gets right by him, as a matter of fact. It's no problem whatsoever. Set him up. Rennie Clayton's car looked like it smoked a little bit. There's not a little smoke coming out of it. Maybe he's got an engine problem or some sort of problem.
Well, Clayton had a pretty serious advantage on Lively for a while, but the last couple of laps it has been a little bit different. Actually, that was a lap car, and that is Rennie Clayton just up in front now. So Lively himself punching through traffic and now sets out after Rennie Clayton, who is just under 2 seconds in front of him, and that's the little dot down there in the distance. It'll get bigger here in a minute as they go on the brakes.
Wow, look how deep he braked with the second cone from the end. That's getting in there deep. Well, these cars don't weigh very much. They're about 1,600 pounds, I believe, and they have awesome amount of grip. Huge tires, huge brakes to go along with it.
Well, we lost the signal there on Keith Lively, so we're going to go back to the battles on the racetrack as Larry Connor continues to try to run down Mike Biancardi. The lap traffic being very courteous. Of course, that whole big gaggle of them. That whole big gaggle just really, there wasn't much they could do. They went 3 wide. Biancardi just equaled it. He went with the guy on the far right and got through it all. And now he's still working a pretty significant, if not comfortable, advantage on Larry Connor with 2 laps to go.
The lap traffic has been really good at cognizant about looking in the rearview mirror. And a big slide off the corner, Biancardi getting loose off of the top of Madness.
Hang on, Mike. Larry Connor is right there. Any little mistake and he'll be ready to jump on it.
Yeah, he's not that far back, is he?
Nope, 1.1 seconds at the start-finish line. There is Larry Connor in that Irish green car with the shamrock on the side. He'll need a little bit of luck here in the closing couple of laps, or maybe bad luck for leader Mike Biancardi if he's going to close up much of that.
Well, when they got through traffic, it slowed them down to under 100 miles an hour. They're down to 99 miles an hour for a while, but now they're back up to 100. Clear sailing in front of them. And with a couple laps to go, I don't think there's going to be enough time for Larry Connor to catch him.
That's the 46 of James Opperman going by, and Biancardi.
Boy, last lap, there's not much time to do anything with.
No. That's why I said a little bit of intervention is what's going to be required here for this gap to close up, because 1 lap is not enough for Larry Connor. Well, we wouldn't think so anyway, to make up that kind of time. Just under a second at the start-finish line, 15 turns to try to do it. Mike Biancardi checks his mirror very quickly there, hits another shift, and down the straightaway, goes into the braking zone. Let's see if he can hold it together here. There is that 46 car just in front of him right now.
Yeah, and that's going to be his biggest concern right now is that, man, tell that 46 guy, get on the radio, tell his guy to tell him to get out of my way.
Well, Opperman is definitely slowed down. He was in the middle of that battle for a while, and he is definitely slowing down out there on the racetrack, so he should be able to get out of the way pretty quickly.
We'll know here in a minute, because this is where they're going to catch him.
Well, now he's hustling again.
Top of 9 here is where, oh boy. Well, no, he's not going to move over. It's going to be a race to the finish now, and it's going to stack these 2 up.
So the lead car is a lap car. That's your leader, number 36, Mike Biancardi. Larry Connor in the green car is close right up behind him, making a move. Larry Connor has laid back long enough. They come out of the final corner. It's going to be a last lap attempt. But Mike Biancardi has enough track, hangs on, and by the narrowest of margins is able to hold off Larry Connor, much as Connor did last year. That was an amazing drive in the last couple of laps by Larry Connor, but Mike Biancardi, like Connor himself, was able to prevail in the final couple of turns.
Boy, oh boy, I tell you what, Larry Connor did everything he could to get around. He saw that the lap car was not going to move out of the way, so he got real aggressive, drove it up on the inside. Whew, that was a good one.
Let's go down to Chris Neville.
Well, I'm here with Jeff Lambert, who's the crew chief for Mike. Second year here at the Runoffs. You guys are looking a little bit better this year than you did last year.
Yeah, we did a lot of work on the car. Mike's came a long way in driving. We did some coaching with him, and the guy just really stepped up to the challenge this year. Larry made us run a whole race good and hard, and we knew it was going to be that way, so we were looking for a good setup. We found it, and I think with a little luck, we ended up on top.
Well, now you guys saw Larry Connor had really pulled out the big guns. He brought in Steve Knapp, an engineer, to try and help him out with the car. You guys are a little bit more of a grassroots effort.
Yeah, we like to kind of sit back and figure out our own thing and figure out what works, and I believe if you try, you can really do it.
Any plans for the future?
We're kind of undecided on the future yet. We're looking at a couple different options and see what we want to do.
Well, congratulations. Back up to you guys in the booth.
All right, thanks a lot. Well, Mike Biancardi had said that he really didn't have any burning aspirations to go higher in motorsports. He's he's a little bit younger than Larry Connor, but I believe he's just over 40 years of age. So he's saying, realistically speaking, but hey, you know what? With a performance like this and a gold medal from the national championship hanging around your neck, you might rethink that strategy a little bit.
Well, I tell you, moving up is not always the thing to do, and the reason for that is that these guys, you could tell from his crew chief, have a lot of fun. Look at the scramble here. They're going to catch the car about to be lapped, and Connors drives it up deep. Now he's looking left and right. Which way is he going to go? He tries to the inside here, but he doesn't have enough room to get his nose down in there. Now he goes to the outside, tries to look up through here, see if the car gets blocked. He would have had a good run there, but no way. Good ending.
James Opperman running in 5th position, lapped, or not quite lapped, kept himself from being lapped and finishes as the final car on the lead lap. Behind this man, Mike Biancardi, your 2002 national champion in the Valvoline Runoffs Formula Atlantic. We'll be back to hear from him in a minute.
Oh, well, I'm the kind of light for any job you do, any job that needs 3 hands, but you've got only 2, 'cause I'm the snake light from Black & Decker. I'll get around, I'm the snake light.
New BlizzStax Clear Advance. For men, Johnny. For men. It's shine-free with tough protection, and I know about protection. New BlizzStax Clear Advance.
Long before man first walked on the moon, master mechanic Sam Mamolo was working on cars.
It's not rocket science if you have the right set of tools. That's why this terrific new tool set from Gear Wrench is a must for any homeowner.
For tough jobs around the house, reach for the tool set more mechanics come home to. Gear Wrench, the 10-piece tool set that features the original ratcheting combination wrench with more speed, more torque, and more strength. In tight spots, Gear Wrench can turn fasteners with only 5 degrees of movement.
See the difference? You can't do that with a standard wrench.
And Gear Wrench is the only ratcheting combination wrench with Gear Force technology. So even worn, rusty fasteners are no match for Gear Wrench.
Nice.
Around the house, in the garage, or on the road, Gear Wrench takes on any tough job.
Bingo. Now that's handy.
The 10-piece Gear Wrench tool set, normally $59.99, is now available for only $49.99. It comes in SAE or metric sizes, and it's available at participating Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse stores while supplies last.
Gear Wrench. Get it done right, get it done fast the first time.
The year in racing. Carpentier went on a mid-season streak, and Junqueira had a breakthrough year. But D'Amata won 4 in a row on his way to the title. You watched every practice, qualifier, and race. Speed Channel salutes you and proudly presents The Year in Racing. Catch all the highlights and expert commentary as we recap the entire season. The Year in Racing. Wednesday night at 9, exclusively on Speed.
Your expectations about sports news will change forever. Fox Sports World Report will bring you the most comprehensive coverage of international sports. Soccer, rugby, cricket, motorsports, and all the latest sports news from around the globe. Fox Sports World Report is only on Fox Sports World, the home of world-class sports.
You've watched baseball all your life. You know the pitcher's glance, the windup, his nod to the catcher. But can you hit his fastball? Now's your chance to hit a home run. Introducing Hit the Pros from Fox Sports. Hit real pitches from real Fox TV games. It doesn't get any more real than this. All online at foxsports.com. So go crazy. Swing now at foxsports.com.
Speed Channel's coverage of the SCCA Valvoline Runoffs is brought to you by Valvoline. You can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. Our Formula Atlantic Championship has concluded, and here is a look at the top 10, all 10 of the finishers in this race. Behind Mike Biancardi was Larry Connor, whose hat trick did not come to pass, and Rennie Clayton rounds out the top 3. They'll be taking home the hardware, but a good race for the men further back, including Opperman, Eli Barda, Bernie Saunier and the rest, who had a good time out there racing in a nice little pack of their own.
Yeah, they did. Then forget about those new cars up front. That was the second class, and they had a good one going.
They sure did. Almost like two-class racing out there, and we enjoyed every minute of it. Hope you did too. Now, we're going to start visiting with some of the winners. First of all, we're going to go to Guy Hobbs, who is with the winner.
I am with Mike Biancardi, who has just pulled into pit lane, and he is pumped, I tell you. He certainly enjoyed that win as he gets his gold medal, the last one to be handed out for 2002. Also gets his hair sprayed pink. He promised he would get his hair sprayed.
Hey, kids, Daddy's wearing pink. You know what that means? I won!
Obviously, Mike not at all excited about this victory, but getting his hair sprayed pink, he promised his kids he would do it if he won. And you did. You won, and you won in style, but very close. You actually, when you came in, you said how big was the gap, and you couldn't even spell gap.
I didn't know it was that close at the end, but we gave it everything we had. Larry's a great competitor and a two-time ex-national champion. Now we are, baby!
Mike, you had a couple of moments, a couple of slides. One was at the keyhole. That scare you a bit?
Oh, yeah, big time. We'll check for stripes later, but...
and then...
Wait for me a little bit. There's a little greasy over there, but, you know, we gathered it up and just put the foot down, and the Injected.com Atlantic just powered through.
Now, the other thing was, when Larry started to get close to you, then you came up on traffic, and you pulled off probably the maneuver that saved the day in a race for you. Absolute brilliant pass, getting past those two cars and putting them in between you and Larry. That was a great move.
Well, thanks. I knew I had to get the traffic between us, but it only lasted 2 turns. I looked back there, and he got around it 2 turns later. So I expected a little more breathing room than that. Larry kept the pressure on, and I pushed the front tires a little hard, but they held on till the end.
Also, right at the beginning there, you got a little help because the 3-car got in between you and Larry, and it took Larry a little while to get by him. Did that give you a chance to get some heat into your tires and get some laps in?
We've been, in practice all week. We've been fast right out of the box, so, I wasn't even watching that. In fact, I thought it was Larry behind me. The color combinations were pretty similar in the mirrors. But, when I saw it getting closer and closer, I knew that was Larry for sure.
All right, Mike, well, congratulations, 2002 national champion. You have the gold medal. Chris Neville is with our silver medalist.
Yeah, well, actually, we're with 3rd place back here. Rennie Clayton is just getting his medal, bronze medal for 3rd place. Rennie, this is your first time to the runoffs. You got to be pretty happy.
Oh, we're thrilled with it. I gotta really thank Joe Stamolo over at Penske Shocks. He really helped get us into the ballpark here. We started off the weekend not being too quick, and then really thanks to him and thanks to Arnie Loining, we were able to get right up there.
Now, you started 4th, and you had a great start. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I knew that Keith was going to be right beside me. I usually race with him a lot on the West Coast, and we came out of turn 5, and pretty much we just all went down to the floor, and I happened to get it down before Keith and the other guys did. So I just hung on to it and went to the inside and see what was going to happen.
Now, you're just 23 years old, so do you have any aspirations of going into the championship series?
Absolutely. That's my next goal. I want to get into the Cool Toyota Atlantic Championship Series.
And will we see that next year, or are you going to come back here next year?
Well, it depends on how the money works out, to be honest with you. We're going to try to get into the Toyota Atlantic Championship Series next year. If not, we'll be back next year, and we'll be better prepared for it.
Well, congratulations. A little bit further back, Guy Hobbs.
Thanks, Chris. Larry Connor has just made his way back to Victory Circle here. Larry, you didn't seem very keen on coming back here.
Well, I mean... I got to thank all the boys. They did a fabulous job this week. I mean, we ran the race exactly as we planned. We ran very fast, consistent laps. We just got beat. I mean, Mike just did a great job.
You got very close right at the end. You also got taken, not taken out, but Mike had a great move on the back markers and put them between you. That cost you a little time.
Cost us a little bit of time, but we were able to gap that back up, and then thought I might have a shot at him at the last turn in the carousel. But Mike played it smart, and he closed the door on that, and that was it.
Then right on the last lap, you got right up underneath the rear wing of Mike, and then coming through the carousel, very, very close. Do you think you may have been able to make it?
Well, I think the answer is no. I mean, the reality is the car started to pick up a bit of a push about mid-race. And, these conditions are difficult. I mean, the Hoosier tires were great, but we picked up a bit of push mid-race, got it progressively worse, and then in the carousel the last, no, we were just going to push to the outside.
All right, tough luck, Larry. Larry, of course, is the last 2-time champion here in Formula Atlantic. He gets to drive a Formula 1 car here tomorrow, the old Benetton. That should be fun. Chris?
Yeah, I'm back in fourth place with Keith Lively. And Keith, I spoke with you a little bit earlier today, and you were pretty excited about the car, and you were thinking you had a good chance at Victory Circle, but you had a tough start. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, we had a problem with the setup, which would have made it difficult, irrespective of how I started. I did not get a good start, and quite frankly, I did not expect to see the green the way the start unfolded. Having said that, I didn't get the best of starts, but we missed the setup all the way around, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Sounds good. Hopefully we'll see you back next year. Back up to you guys in the booth.
Mike Biancardi taking his victory lap, and the exuberance of a first-time champion certainly is refreshing, isn't it?
Well, I'm surprised he got in the car. I figured he was going to pick it up, throw it on his back, and run around with it the way he was going.
That was pretty good. Mike Biancardi, this was very good, the pass he made to pretty much clinch his national championship victory over two-time champion Larry Connor. And that was a great race in Formula Atlantic. Thanks to my broadcast partners, Chris Neville and Guy Hobbs. Dorsey Schrader here in the booth. You for joining us. I'm Brian Drebber. See you, everybody.
The field just got bigger, and the top end is about to get even hotter. The grid has expanded. There's no more pre-qualifying. Now it's just flat-out racing. Today, your home of motorsport turns up the temperature with two 100-kilometre races at Darwin's scorching Hidden Valley circuit. For now, Mark Scaife has a stranglehold on the championship point score. But here, Ford's Marcus Ambrose is the defending champion. If you thought it couldn't get any bigger, any hotter, better think again. This is round 4 of the V8 Supercar Championship.
Today, we are taking you to the territory. Hidden Valley in Darwin is our location this afternoon, and once again, we've been blessed with glorious sunshine and top-end temperatures to match. It'll get around 32 degrees today outside, inside the cockpit. You can add another 20 or 25 degrees. Okay, let's get down to business. It's a 3-race weekend here at Hidden Valley. We've already had one race. The Saturday race was a 20-lap sprint race, and let's take a look at the highlights from that because it was a pretty interesting affair. You know, we've been talking about Mark Scaife so much throughout the championship this round, this year in fact. Can he be beaten? Well, look at this. To turn 1, look who's on pole. His teammate is Jason Bright. Some of the other incidents, Marcus Ambrose and Greg Murphy swapping a bit of paint here throughout race 1. It was a little bit of argy-bargy, but not as much as you'd expect from a normal flat-out freight train kind of race. Now, Wayne Gardner is racing here this weekend. It'll be his last solo race. He had a tough time. So did Rodney Forbes. And talk about tough times and comebacks. That man there, the Aussie Male Ford Falcon of John Dow, was involved in an incident in practice with Stephen Johnson. He came out and absolutely blitzed them to make the top 10 and put in a good performance as well. A bad day, though, for Russell Ingall and Castrol Perkins Racing. He had to park car number 8. The engine pretty much gave way. Here's the other man involved in the bow incident on Friday, Stephen Johnson. Now, the Dick Johnson Racing team had to basically completely rebuild the front end of that car, so he did a great job just to get to the finish line. The wash-up of all that is that Jason Bright stands alongside Marcus Ambrose now as the only men to beat Mark Scaife in a race. Here's the race score. Let's take a look at the top 8. Jason Bright leads his teammate across the line, Mark Scaife. Ambrose in 3rd, Greg Murphy in 4th position, his teammate Kelly in 5th position. Then you've got Lowndes in 6th, Richards in 7th, and John Bow in position number 8. And of course, we mentioned, can they stop Mark Scaife in this championship? Well, now they've got another question. Can they stop Holden Racing Team when you've got Bright and Scaife alongside each other at the top of the list? Well, the man who's leading the Ford charge is this man. His name is Marcus Ambrose. You know him all right. He's a very unique talent. There's no question about that. But he also holds a unique position here at Hidden Valley. Now, Marcus Ambrose won here last year overall without winning a race. He's got the class, he's got the charisma, he's got everything to be a superstar in the making. But around here, he knows that consistency is what counts.
but you can't beat Russell Ingall's track record. 5 race wins makes this place his favourite circuit by far. In fact, the Enforcer's been up here for a week already, acclimatising, or fishing, as he likes to call it. And he's also professed he's been too gentle in the opening rounds, and now the gloves are off for the man who's been bridesmaid too many times.
Another driver to watch is Cameron McConville. He went from last place to 6th in the first race at Phillip Island and from the back of the grid to 10th at Eastern Creek. This is a 2-car operation, but the second car won't be in action until the Enduros. For now, all the energy is focused on McConville and he's repaying the investment. This guy is one of the fittest drivers in the paddock area and regularly competes in Olympic distance triathlons. The driver is ready. The team is ready. The job now to master the Hidden Valley circuit.
Valley Circuit is about 5 kilometres from the centre of Darwin. It's an anti-clockwise track featuring 10 turns and a long main straight where the V8s will hit a top speed of 265 k's an hour. Greg Murphy has the inside line.
Welcome aboard for the Kmart inside line here at Northern Territory. Winning down the front straight here, accelerating up to about 265 kilometres an hour. Down the gearbox at about the 150 metre board, turn 1, 180 degrees, all the way around. Very tricky here, second or third gear, accelerating out, up to third, fourth gear through this section, coming up to a passing opportunity here at turn 2. If you get on the inside of someone here, get down the inside, it's a good opportunity. Very important to get a good run out of here, up into the 183 hairpin, on the brakes, down to second gear, very slow, about 60 or 70 k's. You can see it on the telemetry, accelerating out of here, second gear, up the box, braking through the sweeper, very tricky corner, loads up the car, accelerating all the way up to fourth gear, down the box, down to third, this part of the circuit coming up to finish the lap. Important to get a good run, down to second gear, the last very important corner, accelerating very hard, onto the front straight, up the box, and you want to be doing about 265 kilometres an hour into sixth gear then, and that is the lap of the Hidden Valley Circuit here in Northern Territory.
Gartander has lost 80 championship points. That is the bottom line, and it's had a flow-on effect through the top 10 because other drivers have gained some points as a result of Tander moving back in the race results. So Greg Murphy stays in second place. In fact, rather, he goes up to second place and he gains an extra 32 points. Mark Scape is still pretty much untouchable out the top of the field. Ambrose and Lowndes also jump. Take a look at Tander. He's gone from third down to sixth. And at the bottom of the top 10, Tony Longhurst and Jason Bright have done a bit of a switcheroo in 9 and 10 positions.
First reconfigurable luxury SUT. Cadillac Escalade EXT. Breakthrough.
Former U.S. Marine, drill instructor, Vietnam veteran. Now he's facing his greatest challenge. Your questions.
What does GI stand for? What kind of grabastic unorganized question is that?
Join R. Lee Ermey.
Can it, numbnuts? Now listen up. Want to know how to drive a tank? How a gas mask works? What dog tags are used for? I know all the answers, so ask the questions, maggot!
Mail call, Sundays, on the History Channel. Ask at your own risk.
The year in racing, the NASCAR Busch Series. Grand National stock cars at their finest. Catch all the action and highlights. The year in racing, the NASCAR Busch Series. Thursday night at 10, only on Speed.
Do you have good credit?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you only think you have? Do you know how to check your credit report and find out? A surprise on your credit report could mean you'd be turned down for a mortgage, a car loan, even a credit card. which is why you should log on to freecreditreport.com. At freecreditreport.com, we'll show you how to find out online what's in your credit report, who's been checking it, and whether everything's accurate. So log on to freecreditreport.com today. You're going to do it now, aren't you? Great. Now, how about you?
But now the grid for race 2 as they finished race 1. Jason Bright is on pole position for the second race today. Mark Scaife is alongside him. Then it's Ambrose and Greg Murphy. Todd Kelly in position 5. Lowndes will start from 6. Richard 7th and John Bowe 8th.
The yellow box down the right-hand side indicates where these guys have qualified, so you can see that David Bernard there dropped from 7th to 9th yesterday. Glenn Seaton, though, improved from 12th to 10th. Brad Jones will start from row 6 alongside Rick Kelly.
Yeah, Rick Kelly was quite quick in practice before this race. Bart Warner, Stephen Johnson, Garth Tander and Mark Larkham go down to position 16. Radicic is 17. Max Wilson, the Brazilian, is up there. Ellery, Paul Morris in 24. Then LP, Larry Perkins and Paul Wheel, Cameron McConville and Tony Longhurst.
Wheel made up something like 7 positions yesterday, so a good effort by the K&J Thermal driver. Craig Baird a bit further back for Team Brock, and Jason Richards and Simon Wills, the Kiwis, on the row behind them.
Okay, I mentioned we've got 36 cars to start this race. Let's see who's all the way down the back where it's going to be pretty hot, and quite surprisingly, Neil Crompton, the 00 Motorsport Ford Falcon, starting in position 36. The heat haze rolls in at the Valley. Jason Bright starts on pole position. Mark Scaife, the 4-time champion of the series, is alongside him, and Marcus Ambrose is perched behind Bright. It's a 1.1 kilometre long main straight. They've just bear down so much speed, and they've got to hit the brakes very hard. We're under green for race 2. We're ready to go. 100 kilometres in front of us. Who'll get the jump between Bright and Scaife? Murphy's alongside Ambrose on the second row. Looks as though Scaife got away quite well. They'll come down to turn 1. It's a sweeping left-hander, and Mark Scaife has gone ahead of his teammate straight out of the box.
Great start there by Scaife, and Bright now playing defensive already. Ambrose slots in front of Greg Murphy in that battle for third. Todd Kelly ahead of Craig Lowndes. It looks as though Glenn Seaton has made a ripper of a